be 30 to 45 $1 million condominiums on the President Street side. On the back end of it, if you can imagine what I'm saying, and sorry we don't have the image, but we will get that working. On the back end of it, they intend to build a high-rise. A high-rise that defies our current zoning laws, which is disrespectful, by the way. Because our current zone, and zone is, for those who don't know, the zoning determines how high things can be built. Yeah. In our community, in that particular area, the zone says that no building can be higher than 6 stories high. The current high-rise that they are proposing is 13 and sometimes 14 stories high. Hello? Now in that 13 to 14 story structure, there will be 300 apartment units. Out of the 300 apartment units, cut it in half. 150 of them is straight up affordable, market rate housing. Meaning that it is already something we can't afford here because I described to you how the AMI is calculated, correct? So market rate, straight up, majority of people who live in this community will not be able to afford 150 of them. No, we're not going to move out, we're going to fight back. Now, okay? Yeah. Now, so remember I told you 300 units, and I'm telling you, cut that in half, 150, already market rate, we can't afford it. The other 150, they are using the quote-unquote AMI, right, to determine what is affordability. Now, they have the lowest income you can make to live in what is being proposed is $36,000. I'm going to start there. I ask you this. We have a heavy senior population in this district. One senior on a fixed income is making $36,000 a year. So already, for what is being proposed, you've left our most vulnerable population out. Not on our watch. Hello? Then they have a few units, okay? Between that 36,000 and roughly about that 40, early 40 range. But the vast majority of the units is 100%, is it 100%, 110% of the AMI? I want to be quoted 100% correctly. 110% of the AMI, which gives the income level to be what?
Close to
over 100,000.
Over 100,000. I am Diana Richardson. No, I have to be honest with you. You understand? One thing about me, you will get honesty. My income is very public because I'm an elected official. I make $79,500. I can't even afford to live in what is being proposed. Think about that. And remember, the AMI is an average of the income. So my income essentially would probably be on the higher end than the vast majority of the income of the people living in this community, because remember, when averaged together, we're only at 40, 45. So the vast majority of the housing units being proposed at the Bedford Union Armory is something that the people in this community cannot afford. You see how I broke that all down to you? Now you've heard the previous presenters. We have 60,000 people homeless in the city of New York because our rents are going up, but our paychecks are not. I can't understand how on government property we would allow this to happen. So this is a call to action. I am going to call up the next presenter. We hold the court here today, everybody. I'm calling up the next presenter, someone who I've known for a very long time. my neighbor and my friend in the struggle, Miss Donna Mossman, a founding member of the Crown Heights Tenants Union.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to talk to you about the players in the Bedford Union Armory project. I've lived in Crown Heights for 38 years, and I am one of the founding members of the Crown Heights Tenants Union that started in 2013 because a developer bought my building and started buying out the tenants. $10,000 is what they offered them. Once we started to organize, they went up to $125,000. But we stopped the bleeding. It is important for you to know the political players around the Armory. There are 3 branches of government involved in the Bedford Armory project. There are 3 levels of government involved: the city, the state, and federal. Let's start with the federal government. Congresswoman Bedford, she represents us in Washington, D.C., working with President Barack Obama. On the state level, Senator Jesse Hamilton represents us. Assemblyman Walter Mosley and Assemblywoman Diana Richardson represents us. All those elected officials that I have named so far, Congresswoman Yvette Clark, Senator Jesse Hamilton, Assemblyman Walter Mosley, and Assemblywoman Diana Richardson are with us. Those elected officials sent a letter to the Economic Development Corporation stating they are not in favor of this deal and they stand with the community. Okay? 5 news agencies have picked up this story and understand that these elected officials are not in favor of this Armory deal and they stand with the community. Now, this Armory property used to be state property. You heard that earlier. In 2013 or so, the state gave the property to the city. The decision makers around the Armory would have been at the state level now, but now it's at the city level. If the property had remained with the state, we would be in a better position because we have the state elected officials on our side. Okay. There are 2 city elected officials that we have to hold accountable, and that is Mayor Bill de Blasio, who is the mayor of all of New York City, including Crown Heights. But particularly, Councilwoman Lori Cumbo has to be held accountable. Now, historically, in New York City, when a proposal such as this, the Armory, goes before City Council, the council members vote with the home council member making the proposal, who is Lori Cumbo. The City Council votes with the council member making the proposal because it is their district, and they assume the council member is making a good decision for their home constituents. This is not the case. Now, this project will have to be voted on by the New York City Council. Council members usually vote along the lines suggested by the council member who represents the district. Again, in this case, that is Lori Cumbo. Here is the call to action today. We have to call both Councilwoman Lori Cumbo and Mayor de Blasio to say, kill the deal. Let's kill the deal. Let's start over. Councilwoman Lori Cumbo, tear up the contract. Let's start over. Let's start over with the input from the community. Let's start over today. Are you with me? Yes. Are you with me? Yes. Are you with me? Yes.